Are you overwhelmed by the challenge of personalizing communication for thousands of students? That's where Element 451's AI assistants come in. From nudging prospective students to guiding those already on their journey, AI assistants don't just automate. They write, build, and optimize every step of your digital campaigns. Discover how at element451.com/AI team. Sometimes you get lucky, and sometimes you make your own luck, and sometimes you get lucky and realize how you can make your own luck as a result.
Hit it! That's what I'm talking about.
Wait! Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
Welcome to Higher Ed Pulse, your Monday morning energizer covering insights and trends in higher ed marketing and enrollment. I'm Mallory Wilsey, bringing over 15 years of ed tech and marketing expertise to your earbuds.
And I'm Seth Odell, joining the Pulse with my own adventures from leading marketing at top universities to founding Kanahoma, one of the industry's fastest growing digital marketing agencies.
Each week, we bring you the kind of insider insights you typically only find over cocktails with your pals at a conference.
It's fast, it's fun, and it's designed for you, the busy higher ed professional.
You're not just listening to another podcast.
You're checking the pulse of higher education.
Higher Ed Pulse is part of the Enrollify Network, a robust collection of podcasts designed to help higher ed professionals like you grow. Explore our other shows at enrollify.org. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the next generation AI student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful and personalized interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com. Seth, it is like officially end of summer, fall now. Like the academic year is back, and it's just like, where did summer go? Where did it go?
I agree and in California, at least, kids start school in early to mid-August. It's crazy. And so it feels like in so many ways summer is gone. At least for us out here, the weather holds. And so it still feels like summer weather-wise. But outside of that, yeah, we are full force fall all the way around.
You just had to jab that in, didn't you? Like, oh, but our weather is still good. Do you know, I'm actually thinking of spending the month of January in California because I cannot with winter.
Wait, what? Okay, well, hold on. It's a big state. So have you decided where in California yet? Because I would like to lobby for San Diego. If you are open to being lobbied, I am prepared to pursue that opportunity.
I will give you the full itinerary off podcast, but I think we're going to start in NorCal and make our way all the way, spending the majority of our time in Los Angeles. So listeners, if you are like SoCal based, I don't know, maybe we commit to like a little January meetup sometime and in the LA, San Diego area. But yeah, no, Seth, obviously I'm going to visit you on this trip.
You need
Please.
to. You're welcome to stay here. We got room. We'd love to have you both. Just know I have a very rambunctious, will be 4-year-old by then. And so it may be intense, but who knows, maybe you'll be out here for Lola's birthday. The last 2 years we've brought in snow. It's been quite the experience.
I have followed along on Instagram, and I think actually last year I messaged your wife and was like, so Lola and I just like all the same things. Maybe you could throw me a birthday party too.
Yeah, if you like rainbows and sparkles and snow and cupcakes, it's like, yeah, you're going to love it. So
I mean, that feels on brand for me. So yes.
Yeah. Well, then perfect. January is going to be a wonderful time to have you all out here. I'm excited. I did not know that. So that's really great to know.
I love it. Well, we can spare our listeners the rest of our fun party planning. Today's topic, though, is one I have been really looking forward to. Seth, from the moment that you introduced the idea for this one, I was like, yes, we have to do it. What is that topic? It is career-defining moments. And it has just been like kind of fun preparing for this episode, like thinking back on, oh, wow, like I have had some career-defining moments, and if all these things didn't happen, I literally wouldn't be speaking into this microphone right now.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I just think, each of us, when we think back on our careers and the success that we've had, can point to probably 2 or 3 different situations or opportunities that have been particular catalysts for our progress. Like it's not like a career growth is just up and to the right, like a traditional chart. It's like stair step. There are moments where we sort of leap ahead, and not always is it obvious at the time, right? And so, yeah, today's topic, I'm super excited. I've got a few, I know you do. And as much as I know you quite well, I'm excited to unpack it because I don't know that I know all of the moments in your own career that have gotten to where you are today.
Cool. Well, let's do it. And you know what? It was your topic idea, Seth. So why don't you go first?
Sounds wonderful. Okay, so not everyone knows that I did not start my career in higher education. I actually started in TV news for ABC News in upstate New York. I got a job as a desk assistant out of the classified ads for $9 an hour. And the first career-defining moment for me was understanding that when you don't have talent or skill, what you can bring to the table is like a work ethic to outwork everyone and a willingness to take on things others don't want to take on. And so I spent the first 7 weeks of my time at ABC News working 3:30 in the morning to 9:30 in the morning right as a desk assistant. And then I came back and worked 3 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. And then I went and worked at a coffee shop from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. And so I was only sleeping for like 2 to 3 hours a night in two different windows, once during the day and once at night. And it was really, really rough. But like I just did it, and it only took 7 weeks, and they promoted me to assignment editor, which was a job I was grossly unqualified for, which is definitely like a storyline through my career, is being like wildly unqualified for opportunity. But that was one of the big ones, was taking the opportunity I could get, which was a $9 an hour out of the newspaper classified ad, and just working my tail off and working it into a full-time job. And that was the first career defining moment, was not holding out for something better and just taking the opportunity that presented itself at the time.
And crushing it, clearly, right? Like they wouldn't have offered you that position.
I ran a heck of a prompter. I ran a really good teleprompter. I was finessed it, I don't know if it was really, to be really candid, like the full-time job paid $25,000 a year. I think no one else wanted it. I was the last on the list. You know what I mean? But that's fine. I made it work for me, and I got to be an assignment editor for a year, and I found a way to make it work. And maybe I earned it, but I think maybe I just was the only one foolish enough to say yes.
Well, the other great Seth out there, Seth Godin, wrote the book on being a linchpin, right?
Love
and he
that
has
book.
this whole idea around, yeah, me too. I mean, the career-defining book, I want to say,
Yeah.
right there. Go read it if you haven't yet. But the concept is like, it doesn't matter if you're the C-level or the newest entry-level hire. There are linchpins that are found all throughout, and you can become that linchpin if you work hard and really care about your job. And so there you go. Like you were the linchpin and you reaped the success on the other side. Look at you, Seth.
I loved it. So what is your first career defining moment, Mallory?
So I think similarly, I'm starting at the beginning of my career and kind of identifying that, you know what, sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you make your own luck. And sometimes you get lucky and realize how you can make your own luck as a result. And so the advice out of this moment is to pay attention to what's going on and find where, you can align your career or brand to certain things. But for me, it was social media. Like social media happened. And I got lucky because I was working for my alma mater and an institution where I had built up a lot of trust as a student. I had made relationships, including with the president, as a student. And when I started working there and social media happened, they all looked at me and they were like, so you're the 22-year-old, like you can figure this out, right? So I got lucky. But then I said, I'm going to make my own luck here because I didn't want to be in admissions anymore. I wanted to be in the marketing office, and I saw the opportunity that social media was going to give me. And so I went to lunch with the president and I laid it all out. And how many other 22-year-olds are doing that, right? Absolutely.
Wow.
I sat him down. I had it all printed out. I handed it to him. I was like, this is why this school needs a social media strategist. This is why it's going to help us. We're going to be one of the first to do this. This is how we're going to engage our audiences. This is how it's going to impact recruitment and retention. I made sure I aligned it all the way up to the big goals. And less than a month later, I kid you not, I had a new job title and a brand new, I was in that marketing office. I was running social. So I got lucky, but then I decided to make my own luck out of it. And there you go.
Wow, kudos to you. That's an awesome story. I did not know that. I am not surprised knowing you. But that's incredible. That's just like so awesome to go shoot your shot like that. I just totally love that. Well, so let me hit you with my second career defining moment. So my next one, it may appear on your list too, actually, potentially. So my second one is related to Higher Ed Live. And so for folks that may be familiar, Higher Ed Live was a live weekly web show network about higher education, where we do live interviews, conversations like this. I launched that in 2010, and I ran it for a couple years. And at the time, it was like now like everybody does that, the technology exists, but back then it was pretty rare. We did live shows on Sundays, and we pulled in Twitter feeds. We ended up building it into a content network. Higher Ed Live was the second career-defining moment. The reason I did it was I had read a book called Crush It by Gary Vaynerchuk in 2009, and he talked about building your personal brand. And I was working at UCLA, and I realized that at UCLA, formality and age and tenure, those were all really important things. And I was just not going to get to where I wanted to get to just waiting 10 or 15 years to be taken seriously within that organization, respectfully. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to build my own platform where I can demonstrate my own competence. And at the same time, I can learn from everybody else, and I can like get people to come to me. And so there was a gentleman at the time on Twitter, who was still on Twitter, Kevin Prentice, who I think you know, he had talked about being the DJ and like hosting parties. And I was like, oh, I can build a platform where I can host the party. And because I'm the host, everybody will come, and I can invite great people who are way smarter than me, way more successful than me. And so Higher Ed Live still pays dividends today, like whatever it is now, almost 15 years later. So many relationships, including ours, was formed by it. And so Higher Ed Live is the second career-defining moment for me, deciding to take that leap and build that platform and do that.
Hey, it's Mallory. Element 451 is hosting the AI Engage Summit on October 29th and 30th. This free virtual event brings together leaders, innovators, and many of your favorite Enrollify creators to explore AI's impact on student engagement, enrollment marketing, and institutional success. We're packing the schedule with real examples and case studies, so you leave knowing how to harness AI to drive meaningful change at your institution. Whether you're looking to enhance student outcomes, optimize enrollment marketing, or simply stay ahead of the curve, the AI Engage Summit is your gateway to the next level of higher education innovation. Registration is free. Visit element451.com to save your spot. Now, back to the show. For anyone who's listening to this podcast, not watching it on YouTube, I am currently about to stand up and show you that I am wearing my Higher Ed Live t-shirt.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. Oh my gosh.
Let's go.
I love it. That is a throwback. Oh my gosh, that's so great.
Seth, this is my second career defining moment. Like I went chronologically in my career and I was like, what's next? Oh my gosh, it's Higher Ed Live. Because the day we were chatting each other what we were eating, like what was in our sandwiches back in those days. But like the day you like either chatted or called me and you were like, so I'm working at SNHU now and this Higher Ed Live thing, like I've really expanded it, but like it's its own thing. And like, I'm kind of busy crushing my day job and like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And I was like, here's another situation. Sometimes you get lucky. And sometimes you make your own luck. I mean, how fast did I raise my hand and say, "Oh, we'll take it off of your plate"? Like Seth, I work for I'm Stoner now, and we have this thing called ED Universe, and it's going okay. But if we merge it with Higher Ed Live, it's gonna go really okay. And like, I want to do that. And fast forward a few months later, we all found ourselves at the Apple Tree Inn or something like that in Woodstock, Vermont, and we were workshopping with Michael Stoner. Ashley Budd was there. Like we had such a great brainstorm and workshop. We transitioned it over and Seth, like running B2B media companies at higher ed companies is like my brand now. Like I'm doing it again with Enrollify.
Yeah. You are like the best at it, literally.
Like you passed Higher Ed Live to me, Zach passed Enrollify to me. I love taking the thing that the really smart entrepreneur creates and just blowing it up and finding all that great success and potential. And I literally would not be on this microphone today if that experience hadn't happened, because the reason Zach trusted us with Enrollify is because of the success of Higher Ed Live. So I have to thank you, Seth, for my career defining moment.
Well, Matt, I'm just glad we get to share a one, and hopefully maybe we'll have a few more down the road for us together too. I love that. That's so great. I love it's on your list. So you mentioned SNHU just there momentarily too, because I was at SNHU at the time when I decided I needed to move on from Higher Ed Live. SNHU is my third career-defining moment, but there's a specific moment at SNHU. I think a lot of folks know when I was at SNHU, I did a lot of TV commercials. If you're watching video, there's like a photo over me of a bus where I got to drive around the country and deliver diplomas to students, which was really, really fun. But the moment at SNHU was that early in my tenure, I think like 8 or 9 months in, they had brought in an outside agency to pitch TV commercial ideas. And I found out like literally when they were there to pitch. So it's like, oh, they're like, all the bosses are in this conference room being pitched a campaign idea. And I went to my boss and I was like, I want to pitch against them. And he was like, do you do TV? And I'm like, well, I mean, I do now. I want to pitch against him. And, the beauty is all I asked for was the chance to pitch. And like, what reasonable boss will turn down free ideas, right? And I was like, look, I'll come in early. I'll do it. And they let me. And I ended up pitching against them and collaborating with someone internally. And like, we won the work essentially. And what ended up happening is we basically built out an in-house agency. And I got to produce 34 commercials across 7 campaigns over a little just shy of 4 years. But it all went back to the moment when I said, can I pitch against those folks? And I don't know why I thought to do that because I was unqualified and I had never done TV before ever, but it was really fun. And I just felt like we could come up with better ideas. And so, the lesson there is obviously a closed mouth won't get fed. And like, back to your lesson earlier about shooting your shot sometimes. And so that was a real career defining moment. I'm still to this day, I'm probably best known by folks in the industry for that work at SNHU and the bus commercial, everybody calls it. And all of that came back to one conversation where one day in one moment, I decided to go up and say, can I pitch against those folks? I think I can produce better work. And they actually said yes and let me.
I just saw one of those bus commercials like this week.
It's wild. It's still out there. Like
Yeah.
they still use the bus. It's amazing. It's been 12 years. I guess, or 11 to 12 years, and they still rely on the bus. It's amazing.
That's awesome. The long-term impact that you have had for so many other people, Seth. I mean, like, you got to feel good about that. That's great.
Yeah, I appreciate. Thank you. It feels good. It's definitely one of the funner chapters for sure.
Nice. Well, my last career defining moment is, and I feel like I'm being a little gratuitous to higher ed right now, but like it is getting my master's degree. That was a very career defining moment for me, largely because I knew I needed the credential. But because my undergrad degree was from a more kind of Northeast-based small private arts institution, I also knew I wanted access to a much larger alumni network, and I wanted a certain level of prestige that was going to come with that degree. I had spent a lot of time looking at the job descriptions for the roles I wanted to have 5, 10, 15 years out, and noticed every single one of them required a master's. And so I knew I had to at least check that box, but I didn't just want any program. So it was all a very like intentional play of where I went, the program I went into, and what I wanted to have as outcomes on the other side. And I really credit getting my master's degree to helping me move from agency in higher ed over to ed tech in higher ed and level up in my job title too. And once you hit a like job title, you rarely go backwards, right? So that master's degree helped me jump from director level to VP level, and it significantly increased my compensation. And those were like, it was all part of the plan. So
I love that. I love that. I mean, I earned my master's at SNHU while I was there, and I will say I got my MBA. I don't believe I would have been considered for the vice chancellor job at National University System without it. So do you point about part of the plan? Like sometimes these things really work, and it's worth doing the work early so you're ready for the opportunities when they come. I love that.
When I talk to young professionals, some advice that I always give them is to go look at the job descriptions of the role that they want next or 2 steps away, because you need to start building the skill sets and the competencies for that job now in your current job. So if you see things that are common in terms of responsibilities or criteria for even being considered, like the time to act on that is not 5 years from now when you want the job, it's today.
Totally. Yeah, I love that. That's great advice. Listen, the only other one I have, so I have one last career defining moment. I think to wrap us out, I would just say, and it's still defining, but for me, I think I have to pause and at least say, deciding to launch Kanahoma. So for me, Kanahoma is going to be coming up on our 4th anniversary in November. So we're a little shy of 4 years. And, it was a pretty scary thing to leave my, I had a well-compensated executive level job that I left in the middle of a pandemic while we had a baby on the way. And it was sort of a really risky decision. And when I did it, I didn't know if it was just going to be me in a room, which is what it was when we started. And, we have 30 full-time employees now and, 15 partners. We manage over 25 million in marketing spend for folks. And it's like, we have like a real business. And we definitely didn't have a real business when I started. And so I think that, the last one would be like taking the leap and saying like, I'm going to work for myself and try to build my own business in a space that I love. It's got to be on the list. So that makes it probably as my last career defining moment, was the decision to leap and give this whole thing a shot.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, and like you said, you're still kind of living that moment right now. So it'll be interesting to, I don't know, hear 10 years from now, right?
Yeah, what other ones do we both have still coming, right? Like, we're not done yet.
That's right. Hey, if we're still hosting The Pulse 10 years from now, I'm committing to future us doing another one of these episodes.
Well, Mallory, this is really like fun just to reflect back on some of this. It gave me a lot of joy to kind of think about my own journey in those moments. But what I would love to do is hear from other folks. Like, I loved hearing your stories today. There was some stuff I did not know about your own past. And so, my call to action for folks listening is, I would love to hear your own career defining moments too. If you could find us on LinkedIn, share a comment, we would love to know. I think more of us should be willing to self-reflect and share these things, because there's definitely like lessons in here that we can unpack for folks, and just would love to hear your career defining moment as well, if you're listening.
And speaking of lessons in leadership, our course with Dr. Carrie Phillips starts today, people, today. Now, don't worry, because it's asynchronous. So if you're looking to sign up, you still have plenty of time to do that. But the course is going to dive into key things that rising leaders need to know. Maybe it will even help you find your career defining moment. Maybe it'll even become your career defining moment. A little bit more about the course. It's going to cover critical theories like systems thinking and situational leadership. You're going to learn how to map out and manage complex organizational systems, higher ed, how to adapt your leadership style to different team needs, and how to tackle those big challenges that we are all facing in this industry with more confidence. It is excellent. I can say that because I have listened to every single module that Carrie has produced. And so it's got my official stamp of approval in terms of the quality of this course. So don't let burnout or a lack of training hold you back. If you are a rising leader, we would love to see you in the course. And like I said, that first module dropped today. So sign on up and you'll get access to the course content right away. Well, Seth, it was always a pleasure to see you. So
it's been great. I love this topic. This is really fun. Thank you for doing it. And
this was fun.
Yeah, now it's always great seeing you. It's always great to learn a little bit more about you and your story.
Oh, amazing. All right. Well, thank you so much, listeners. We will see you next Monday. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye. The Higher Ed Pulse is part of the Enrollify Podcast Network. If you like this podcast, chances are you'll like other Enrollify shows too. Our podcast network is growing by the month, and we've got a plethora of marketing, enrollment, and higher ed technology shows that are jam-packed with stories, ideas, and frameworks, all designed to empower you to be a better higher ed professional. Our show helps higher ed marketers and admission pros find their next big idea and features a selection of the industry's best as your hosts. Learn from Brian Gross, Eddie Francis, Jenny Lee Fowler, and so many of your favorite leaders in higher ed. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the next generation AI student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful and personalized interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com.